Hello, spirit friends. Welcome to Words of Wisdom. I'm your host, Minerva Maharajh. This podcast offers you practical spirituality to help you reach the highest and best version of yourself. I'm a former NBA Toronto Raptors dancer turned certified spiritual life coach, and my intention is to help you shift out of mediocrity closer to a life of your dreams. Words of Wisdom offers practical life and spiritual guidance, life-shifting tools, and helps raise your vibration to align to the life you truly desire. Now let's get connecting to your highest and best self. Welcome to episode 4 of Words of Wisdom. I'm your host, Minerva Maharajh. Today we'll be talking about 3 reasons your intuition doesn't work. Let me break down exactly what we'll be covering today. First, I'll be sharing what is intuition. Second, why is it important to utilize it? So what happens when you ignore your intuition, and the stark difference of what happens when you do follow your intuition. And next, 3 reasons why your intuition isn't working for you. And we're going to end with a little fun soul work to help fine-tune your superhuman skill of intuition and help strengthen that for you. So what is intuition? Intuition is that inner voice, that inner wisdom, that sound of your higher self, the voice of your spirit. And this voice will never lead you astray. I say this voice is like pinched off energy from source energy. And in that energy embodies a never-ending love and well-being. And that energy that lives within you sounds and is aligned to the vibration of love and well-being. So if that energy lives in you, it's going to speak through you, and it's only going to speak to and point you towards what is best for you. So it's never going to lead you astray. Now, why is it important to utilize your intuition? When you lean on your intuition, like I mentioned before, that pinched off source energy, that voice that lives within you, embodies the energy of love and well-being. So it embodies this higher energy that's only well-meaning and going to lead you to the highest and best. It only wants what's best for you. So when you learn to silence the noise around it, connect to it, and strengthen it, that voice, then when you listen to it, it will lead you to the best outcome. Sometimes it's not direct, it's not immediate, but it's a path, it's a step towards the highest and best. And other times it will give you immediate results of a great outcome. So you will never be led the wrong way when you choose to listen to your intuition. And when you do ignore your intuition, it gives you the exact opposite. It's gonna lead you to more heartache and more pain and more suffering. I find this intuition is like an inner GPS, an inner guidance system. And when you listen to it, it'll lead you to the ultimate best outcome for you and all those involved. And when you ignore it, then it's going to lead you to more pain and suffering. So to give you an example of this is, just say you're dating this guy or you met this guy and you're on the first date and all the alarm bells are going off, all the red flags are going off, but your intuition is saying something is off here, something is wrong. You gotta, this should be the last date. You should run the other way. But the other side of you, which we're going to talk about soon, is that other side of you that ignores the intuition is saying, you're running out of time. This better be the relationship. You've been lonely for a long time. You haven't been in a relationship. You want to be with someone. You gotta make it happen. This is what I want right now. And you ignore all the alarm bells, that feeling in the stomach, everything that's telling you no. You ignore it, you push it down, and you follow the other side, the flip side of that. And you're going to lead to most likely an unsatisfying relationship and more pain and struggles and more stress and drama. So that's just a short example of what happens when you ignore or follow your intuition. 3 reasons your intuition doesn't work. 3 reasons your intuition doesn't work. Number 1 is you don't work it. It's like a muscle. It's like a skill that needs refining. Just like when you want to get stronger in the gym, you want stronger arm muscles, then you're going to lift those weights to strengthen it. You're going to practice it. You're going to keep increasing those weights. And the more you do it, the stronger your arms get. Same thing with your intuition. It's like a muscle. It's a spiritual muscle that needs working out, that needs exercise. And so when you keep practicing that in your daily life through trusting your intuition, through practicing it, through having fun with it, with little things and big things, and then turning to it and like, what should I do? And you just close your eyes and you connect with your intuition, connect to that inner voice, and you get an answer and you act on it. That's the missing key there, is acting on it. Not just hearing it and then doing whatever you please to do, but actually taking action from whatever answer that arises from your intuition. And when you act on it, that's how you build that muscle of your intuition. That's how it gets stronger. And the more you practice it, the more definite and the louder that intuition becomes. And it becomes undeniable that you can't ignore it. Now, how do we get taken out of our intuition? We're actually all intuitive beings. So if you're saying, I'm not very intuitive, you were very intuitive, you've just been conditioned out of it and haven't been conditioning it enough. So this often happens in, our childhood. We are born intuitive beings. We know how to eat, we can sense energy, we can sense when we like someone, when we don't like someone, we start crying, and we get conditioned out of it at an early age in ways of people telling us what to do, what to like, what not to like, what not to do, even being forced to go hug people when we're feeling kind of, there's something off here, because we're intuitive energy beings before we were critical thinking, doing beings, if that makes sense. I do feel like we sense a lot of energy. We come here with this high light vibration and we're feeling energy beings. We sense things as a baby, and we depend on that intuition. It's been our survival since we were little babies. And as we grew up, well-meaning caregivers conditioned us out of it. And also observing older figures around us not engaging in their intuition is also a way we learn not to rely on our own intuition. So we do get conditioned out of it. We are intuitive beings. It's still there. The intuition is there. You just need to practice that muscle. You need to build that muscle again. And you can do that in little ways throughout the day. And in our soul fun work that I'm going to share later, I'm going to give you some ways to start engaging and remembering the times you have used your intuition. But you can practice that throughout the day, whether it's like, do I want to eat this? Do I want to go down this road? Do I want to see this person? Should I call this person? And really just gauging and picking between what feels heavy and light. Number 2, the second reason why your intuition isn't working is because you're choosing ego over intuition. You're choosing your ego over intuition. So what happens is you're in this situation, you don't know what to do, and your intuition just sparks up. It speaks up. It lights up. And what you do as the well-meaning human being you are is you snuff out that flame. You shut it down. You shut it out. And we often do that because it's not logical. Perhaps we're afraid of what we might hear. We're afraid of the answer, or we're also afraid that it's not what we want to hear. And so our intuition, if you look at it like a flame, it shoots up, it sparks up, and then we take that, that little snuff, I believe it's called, that you put on top of the flame to snuff it out, to take the oxygen out of it. You don't give it life, and you snuff that flame out. and your intuition is out. And what happens is that snuffing of the flame is actually your ego. It's your ego that's taking over. And so, like the scenario I shared with you earlier, if you're on a date and, all the red flags are going up, but this person is not right for you, this person's not right for you, then you ignore all of that, that's actually your ego stepping in. The ego steps in because it's saying, minute you start hearing, you've got to work through this. This is the only chance you have. There's not much good guys out there. Take what you can get. You're very lonely. You're never going to find someone. You're going to die alone. All of those voices that you hear is not your intuition. It's actually your ego speaking. So even if you want to look at it like that cartoon devil and angel on the shoulder, that's sort of kind of the tug of war that you may be having. And sometimes you think it's your intuition speaking when it's actually your ego. And the reason it feels like your ego is because you've been sitting in the ego chair. The ego has been in the driver's seat for so long. You've been operating from ego for so long. It's been the driving force in your life for so long that it feels so familiar and comfortable and powerful because you've been leading in that place. Although it's uncomfortable because you've been sitting there in that driver's seat for so long, that ego has been sitting in that driver's seat for so long. The ego feels so familiar and feels so strong that it has a power over you that you may think it's your intuition. But the way you can differentiate between ego and intuition is that anytime something feels heavy and it's fear-based, it's filled with lack, insecurity, worry, anything that's fear-based shows up in a form of fear, that's your ego speaking. That's the false self, the falsehood speaking. When you feel that lightness, that ease, that expansiveness speaking, that it may feel calm, that's your intuition speaking up. Now, the challenge is which voice you're going to listen to. That heavy fear-based one that's been dominating the driver's seat for so long, or is it going to be that light, expansive, calm side of you, that sure side of you that you're going to listen to? Now, I know you may be practicing and leading with ego for so long that it's hard to hear the intuition's voice, but it's there. I promise you. It's just a matter of, tipping the scale back in favor of intuition. Right now, maybe at 80-20, but again, the more you practice these muscles, the more it can become 70-30 and then 60-40. You don't want to jump from 0 to 100, especially if you've been leading an ego. We all do lead an ego at some point. Some of us are just not as awake as others, not as conscious about it right now. And it just all takes practice, and we will get there with a commitment. But the more you practice leaning on your intuition, the more it gets stronger, the more it gets louder, and the more that you listen to it, it will lead you to the highest and best outcome for you and all those involved. It will lead you to that partner who is best for you. You're not going to end up alone. You will have the life that you desire and better. So when you choose ego over intuition, ego is going to snuff out the flame. Ego is going to create more of a life that is fear-based because it's fear-based in itself. It's created from fear. It's created out of looking for love, safety, and approval. And that's where the ego comes in. And it sounds very loud and strong and clear right now. But I promise you, the more that if you become aware of when this heavy energy steps in, that quote unquote cartoon devil on the shoulder steps in, versus that angel, that lightness, that expansiveness, that calm side of you, that calm voice, the voice of your spirit, the voice of your essence, when you lean on that a little bit more each day, you strengthen that, and that will become the louder voice, and you'll actually be able to observe the two and know when it's the angel or the quote unquote devil talking. And I mean that in, the most loving, cartoony way about the angel and devil on the shoulder. Number 3. The third reason why your intuition doesn't work is because you don't trust it. You don't trust your intuition. And if you look at any relationship in your life, the one with your parents, a sibling, maybe your significant other, maybe even a coworker. What happens when you don't have trust in that relationship? Does it build it or does it destroy it? It's like if your partner keeps doing something to you to prove that they're faithful and that they love you, and then you keep knocking off to the side and keep disregarding their efforts, keep disregarding their expression of love for you or everything they're doing for you, eventually that your partner will get discouraged and eventually will stop doing those things to prove to you. It gets tiring. So when you don't take a look at it as a relationship with your intuition, look at your intuition as a person, as an entity, and what will happen if you did have trust in it versus what would happen if you didn't have trust in it, if you didn't have trust in it. It's not going to build a relationship, it'll more destroy it. So we need to start practicing trusting your intuition. And if you're saying, well, I trusted my intuition before, but it never worked out for me, again, you want to take a close look at that. Is it your intuition that was speaking, or was it your ego speaking? Was it, because you didn't get what you want, you think, oh, well, my intuition led me astray? Or is it because just because you didn't get what you want doesn't mean your intuition wasn't there for you. Maybe it's leading you to something that's better for you, something that you may not be asking for, but it's in your best interest. So I do hear that a lot from people that I don't know, I don't trust my intuition because, it never turned out how I wanted it. So that may be the problem because it's not what you wanted. What you want and what's the highest and best for you are two different things. So you want to take a look at this on, the trust level that you have with your intuition. Where have you not trusted your intuition? Where have you ignored it? Where have you disregarded it? Because that's going to be destroying the relationship between you and your intuition. So I would invite you to take a look at the times your intuition was there for you, whether you listen to it or not. I'm sure in hindsight, you can take a look. There's scenarios in your life where you're like, I knew it. I should have listened to it. My gut feeling told me that. That's all your intuition speaking up for you. So I want you to take some time to reflect on that. At least list at least 5 scenarios where your intuition was loud and clear and it was pointing you to the right direction, whether it's saying no, don't do this, or yes, do this, or no, don't go this way, or yes, go this way. That feeling inside of you where it's that light, expansive, resounding voice that you heard, whether it was faint or even a whisper in the background or was really loud and clear. I want you to take some time to think about some moments in your life where your intuition was there for you, whether you listen to it or not. So a quick recap of the 3 reasons your intuition doesn't work is, number 1, it doesn't work because you're not working it. You need to work that intuition just like a muscle. You need to exercise that spiritual muscle by practicing it every day. Practice it in small ways, whether it's like, what do I eat? Where do I go? What street do I go down? And also that list all the times your intuition was right when it was telling you that this person was right for you, this person was off. I want you to list all those times and start building that muscle, that intuition muscle. Number 2, the second reason why your intuition isn't working for you is because you're choosing to listen to ego over intuition. So how do you tell when it's ego in play versus your intuition? Ego will feel heavy. Ego is fear-based. Ego's in search of love, safety, and approval in all the wrong ways, in ways that are no longer serving you. So it's going to feel heavy. So it's going to convince you that you're not worthy, that you're not enough, that you're running out of time, you're going to be lonely, there's stuff to be afraid of. It's all fear-based. So when you choose ego, you're choosing more fear to come into your life and more of what you don't want to come into your life. But when you choose intuition, that light, expansive, that silent, calming side of yourself, you're choosing love-based, you're choosing well-being. And when you listen to that voice, that pinched off energy from source energy, that voice of source energy that lives in you, it's only going to lead you to the best results, the best outcome, and better than what you can imagine. And number three, the third reason isn't working for you because you don't trust it. So I highly encourage you to start building that relationship between you and your intuition. Whether you have a good or bad relationship now, you can still do this. You can start today with building your intuition. You can start building that relationship between you and your intuition by listing all of the times your intuition was there for you and is still there for you, and taking a moment and recognizing what intuition feels like for you, which now leads me to our fun soul work. Here's our fun soul work for this week. Number one, what are the times your intuition told you this was wrong? This is wrong. I would like you to list out all the times your intuition was screaming no to you. And after you list those out, I want you to check in and notice, how did that feel in your body? What did that sound like? What did that look like? So for me, when something says no for me, I feel it in my shoulders and in my arms and really in my gut area, my midsection. And I just feel this heat and heavy energy when it's like, no, this is all wrong for you. And number two, what are the times your intuition told you this is right for you? This is a yes. I want you to list out all those times, from work to relationships to whatever happened when you were driving or in the mall. Or I want you to list out all those times your intuition was screaming, yes, this is right for you. And again, check in and notice, how did that feel in your body? What did that sound like? What did that look like? And for me, it's for what intuition says to me when it's saying a yes, when it's speaking yes to me, I feel a lightness, and it comes from my heart and above my head. So I feel like this expansive light energy. And now this will be different for everyone. I just want to share that with you, what it's like. And I work with so many clients around this, and I hear it different for each person, and I hear some similarities, but it is very distinct what a yes and no means. And again, you'll have to practice that to make that stronger. And then finally, after you do questions 1 and 2, I invite you to sit back and reflect. When are the times your intuition was there for you, but you did or did not listen to it? So all the times you did listen, what happened? All the times you didn't listen, what happened then? So I want you to take an inventory of what happened when you did or didn't listen to your intuition, when it did show up for you. And the next part of this is, how can you commit this week to lean on it and trust your intuition more? So what's the one thing you can do to start strengthening and building that relationship between you and your intuition? So that's all the fun work I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I hope you found this very informative. Please send me a voice note. If you're listening through Anchor, you can send a voice note and give me feedback of how this episode resonated with you and what you learned from it, and maybe share some of your fun soul work and what came up for you. My hope for you today in listening to this podcast is that it reminds you that your intuition is there for you and has always been there for you. And a reminder to start building that relationship with your intuition again, because when you do listen to it, when you fine tune that spiritual gift that you have, that everyone has, it will help you navigate this life experience with more ease and more fulfillment. So that's my hope for you. I sincerely hope you enjoyed this episode. Sending love and light to you. Bye-bye.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.